we're going to start with the first one. And this is a practical thing, actually, that we see here in this chapter. And how to seek for the will of Yahuwah. And we see this happening, in the chapter 14, from verse 8 to 10. And we see this in the story of Jonathan, when he decided to go and fight against the Philistines. He was not afraid, and that should be our heart as well. He decided to go and fight. And actually, we are going to read from verse 6, because he's giving us a more insight, a more expanded perspective of what's happening. So it says it starting in the verse 6. And Jonathan, said to the young man who bore his armor, "Come, and let us go over the outpost of this uncircumcised. If so be, Yahuwah does work for us. For there is no hindrance for Yahuwah to save by many or by few." In just few words, what we see happening here is faith in action. Jonathan knew that Yahuwah can save his people by the hand of many, of the hand of just few. And he believed in Yahuwah. That's why he decided to move ahead. So let's continue reading. And Jonathan said, "See, we are passing over to them and show ourselves to them." And this is the part that we need to learn as one of the way to discern and to seek the will of Yahuwah. And you can put this into practice in your own life. It says, "If they say this to us, wait until we come to you, then we shall stand still in our place and not go up to them. But if they say this, come up to us, then we shall go up, for Yahuwah has given them into our hand, and this is the sign to us." So, this is very practical, and I have used it in my own life, and I think we should learn from this. In any situation, we should act in the same way that Jonathan is showing us this here. If we are looking and seeking the will of Yahuwah for any circumstance that we are going through, beside casting lots that we were talking about this few weeks ago, this is a way, as Gideon did, asking Abba if this will happen, is because Yahuwah is with us and he wants us to move forward in this direction. And if this other thing is happening, is because Yahuwah is having a different decision. And you can put this in practice in different circumstances, believing that Yahuwah will manifest himself if you are really, truly seeking him in this direction. And let's read just this completely, because we see what's happening. And both of them disclosed themselves to the outposts of the Philistines. And the Philistines said, "See, the Hebrews are coming out of the holes where they have hidden." And the men of the outpost called to Jonathan and his armor bearer and said, "Come up to us and let us teach you a lesson." And this is exactly what Jonathan was asking for. And he saw the confirmation. And and this is also an important second lesson for all of us. What Jonathan did, at the moment he heard the confirmation, understanding that Yahuwah was with him, he moved into action immediately. Because it says, "Then Jonathan said to his armor bearer, 'Come up after me, for Yahuwah has given them into the hand of Israel.' And Jonathan climbed up on his hands and knees with his armor bearer after him, and they fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer was putting them to death behind him." And that first smiting with Jehonathan and his armor bearer struck was about 20 men in about half an acre of land. And there was trembling in the camp, in the field, and among all the people. The outposts and the riders also trembled, and the ground shook, and it became a trembling of Elohim. You see, if we move forward, aligned to the will of Yahuwah, aligned to what is in the heart of Yahuwah, marvelous things will happen. So we have two lessons here in my point of view. First is a way to seek the will of Yahuwah in any decision in our lives. And second is that we need to move into action immediately as soon as we see confirmation of Yahuwah's will. And when we move into action immediately, Yahuwah will manifest, and marvelous, wonderful things will happen. Because at the end, it says, and it became a trembling of Elohim. No matter, how big the giant is, Yahuwah will give us the strength if we move ahead according to his will, because we know that he is with us. So that's the first point that I wanted to share with you about the chapter 14. And the second, I titled this, and it's for me, it's something I didn't see this before, and I think it's connected to something important. I titled this The Parable of the Vat Shepherd. The Parable of the Vat Shepherd. And I think we see this more expanded actually from verse 13 and verse 14. But specifically, just to share with you this, what I call the parable of the Vat Shepherd, is what we read in this chapter 14 from verse 24 to verse 30. So let's read it first, and then I will share with you the different points that I saw here, just for your understanding. So it says, and the men of Israel were distressed that day. After they win the battle, you can read this in context later on, the entire chapter 14. So after they win the first battle against the Philistine, and the men of Israel were distressed that day, for Shaul had placed the people under oath. So the leader of the Israel put an oath, and we know, we haven't studied this, how important oaths are. Saying, cursed be the man who eats food until evening, and I have taken revenge on my enemies. Therefore, none of the people tasted food. After this big battle, he put this oath, so nobody was able to eat food. And you understand, in a battle, people get hungry, they get exhausted. They needed to re-energize themselves again. So let's continue reading. And all they of the land came into the woods, and there was honey on the ground. And the people came into the woods and saw the honey dripping, but no one put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jonathan had not heard that his father had taken an oath of the people. And he stretched out the end of the rod that was in his hand and dipped it in a honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes lit up. Then one of the people said, your father strictly took an oath of the people, saying, cursed be the man who eats food today. And the people were weary. And Jonathan said, my father has troubled the land. Now, see how my eyes lit up when I tasted a little of this honey. How much better if the people had well eaten today of the spoil of their enemies, which they found. For then would not the slaughter among the Philistines have been greater? So we see all of this happen, and I'm going to stop there because those are the only passages that I want to refer to. And just give me a second. I will turn the light because it's too dark here. Gracias. Much better. So, so what's the point here? You know, this is a story, interesting one. Actually, you know, later on it's coming to something about the ransom of Yahuwah. And for those of you that they were taking a look in the study that I did a few weeks ago about the ransom, you can consider that passage as well as an additional one about the ransom of the people. But you know what I see here is something, again, as a parable. And I call it the parable of the Vat Shepherd because of the reason. So what Shaul did is to not allow the people to eat when they deserved to eat. He didn't allow the people to have food. And also, if you continue the story, in this case, Yahuwah eat honey. So food, honey, and also what happened with his eyes. You know, it says that as soon as he tasted the honey, his eye lit up. Those are the, you know, three aspects, three variables, important ones, that is, you know, expanding somehow the understanding of what I'm calling the parable of the Vat Shepherd. So food not allowed, honey as a type of food, and also, you know, the eyes light up. So what is food according to the word of Yahuwah? Let's go to the book of Matthew, Yahoo, chapter 4, verse 3 and 4. You know, and this is when Yahushua was in the wilderness, you know, after his baptism, and the Ruach led him to the wilderness to be tempted, tried by the devil. So it says in the verse 3 and 4, and the trier came and said to him, if you are the son of Elohim, command that these stones become bread. So it's talking about food. You know, he was tempting him with food because he was fasting. But Yahushua, he answering, said, it has been written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. What Yahushua is talking about, that food is also the word of Yahuwah. The other way around, the word of Yahuwah is food. And you will see where I'm going to with all these points. So food was not allowed for the people of Israel. And in the other side, we see that the word of Yahuwah is also compared with food. Let's go to another passage in the book of John, Yahohanan, chapter 4, and this is in the verse 31 to 34. And this is, you know, in the story of the this woman on the well in Shomeron in Samaria. It says in the verse 31 to 34. But in the meantime, you know the story, so I'm not going to go into the details, but let's focus in these passages specifically. But in the meantime, his taught ones, his disciples, were asking him, saying, Rabbi, eat. You know, they were concerned because, you know, he was not eating. And actually, they were going to the town in order to get food. So they were saying, Rabbi, eat. And listen to what Yahushua was telling them. And he said to them, I have food to eat, of which you do not know. Then the taught ones said to each other, did anyone bring him food to eat? So they were thinking again with his own minds and his own understanding. But let's listen what Yahushua told them. Yahushua said to them, my food is to do the desire of him who sent me and to accomplish his work. So, what is food? Is to do the desire of Yahuwah. What is food? Is the word of Yahuwah. So I just want you to store this, and I will explain more about this parable of the Vat Shepherd. So what about honey? Is that's the aspect of this parable. So let's go to the book of Tehillim, Psalms, chapter 19, verse 9 and 10. And this entire chapter, is talking about the Torah of Yahuwah in the verse 7. The Torah of Yahuwah is perfect. Let's read it entirely because it's so beautiful. The Torah of Yahuwah is perfect, bringing back the being. The witness, the truth of Yahuwah is trustworthy, making wise the simple. The orders, the hukim of Yahuwah are the straight, rejoice in the heart. The command, the mitzvot of Yahuwah is clear, enlightening the eyes. And this is something important. I didn't notice this, but keep this in mind to what happened to Jonathan. The commands, the mitzvot of Yahuwah is clear, enlightening the eyes. The fear of Yahuwah is clean, standing forever. The mishpatim, the other ones were the hukim. This is the right ruling. The mishpatim of Yahuwah are true. They are righteous altogether. More desirable than gold, than much fine gold, and sweeter than honey and the honeycomb. So the Torah of Yahuwah being compared to honey and to the honeycomb, that the Torah is even sweeter than the honey and the honeycomb. And see, this is important. What the command and the Torah of Yahuwah is doing to our eyes is giving us light. So another passage about the same is in the book of Tehillim, in the chapter 119, verse 103. And it says the following: How sweet to my taste has your word been, more than honey to my mouth. Again, it's comparing the word of Yahuwah, that is somehow food as well, compared to honey, sweeter, even better than honey. And there is another passage. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 1 to 3. And he said to me, Ben Adam, son of man, eat what you find, eat this scroll, and go, speak to the house of Israel. And I opened my mouth, and he fed me the scroll. And he said to me, Son of man, feed your stomach, and fill your stomach with this scroll that I am giving you. And I ate it, and it was as sweet as honey in my mouth. If we connect all the passages, the scroll that he was eating was the word of Yahuwah, the Torah of Yahuwah, the scrolls of the word of Yahuwah. So what's the point that I'm making so far? The word of Yahuwah is like food. The desire of Yahuwah is like food. It's like honey that is enlightening in the eyes. What about light on the eyes? It says in the book of Tehillim, chapter 19. And let me give you all the passages, and I'm going to connect the dots in just a minute. Just bear with me a minute. So it says in the chapter 119, verse 105, it says the following: Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. The word of Yahuwah is a light. It's a light, it's a lamp. So, again, connect all the aspects, food, honey, light on the eyes. Because if you go actually to the Hebrew, when it's written that as soon as Jonathan tasted the honey, his eye lit up. That word lit is the Hebrew word or. And the Hebrew word or, it means light. So his eyes became with light. And think about the parable somehow that I'm going to explain you in a minute. Let's go to the book of Mishle, Proverbs, chapter 6, verse 23. It says, For the command is a lamp, and the Torah a light, and reproofs of discipline, a way of life. So all over and all over again, that the Torah of Yahuwah is food, is like honey, is the one giving us light to our eyes. And even Yahushua HaMashiach, he gave us an example that is so beautiful that we need to consider all the time. In the chapter 6, verse 22 and 23, saying the following, "The lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye is good, all your body shall be enlightened. But if your eye is evil, all your body shall be darkened. If then the light that is within you is darkness, how great is that darkness?" So, he's talking about the importance of the eye, the importance of having the light of Yahuwah. And we know that the light of Yahuwah is his word, and we know that the word of Yahuwah is like food. So let me connect all these words and all these points for you in this parable, on what I call the parable of the Vat Shepherd. What Shaul did, Yahuwah promised to his people to send them, to give them a land flowing with milk and honey. Shaul was forbidden the people to eat, were forbidden the people to have food. It's like Shaul, being the shepherd of the people of Israel, forbidden them to have the word of Yahuwah, to have the desire to do the will of Yahuwah. Even when Yehonatan was tasting the honey, because of the oath that Shaul did, he was going to kill him because of the oath. It's like forbidding them to eat the word of Yahuwah, to live in the word of Yahuwah, to taste the word and the desire of Yahuwah. That's a Vat Shepherd. Not to give the chance to the people to eat the true food that is coming from heaven. It's the true food that is the word of Yahuwah, that is sweeter than honey. And we know in this parable, what happened to Yehonatan. As soon as he tasted the honey, he received light. And this is exactly what we see here happening in all these passages. As soon as we receive the word of Yahuwah, as soon as we walk in the word of Yahuwah, we will receive light, the light of Yahuwah. But Shaul was doing something totally different. He was forbidding the people to enjoy the food that is coming from heaven. He was forbidding the people to enjoy the food that was coming from Yahuwah and the promises of Yahuwah. That's why Jonathan was saying that my father has traveled the land. It's true, he was traveling the land and traveling the people physically. But if we see this in a context of the parable, and we see this in a spiritual context, he was traveling the people to enjoy the way of Yahuwah by not able to taste the word of Yahuwah and to following his desire and his will. And you know what happened with this? Because of the Vat Shepherd, people committed a bigger sin. If you go and read the context of what's happening later on, they started to eat the blood, to eat the meat with the blood. They committed sin against of Yahuwah. Why? Because the shepherd that was leading them and guiding them didn't let them enjoy what they needed to enjoy. So not having the word of Yahuwah, not have been able to taste the word of Yahuwah in order to receive the light of the world, it will lead us to commit a bigger sin. That's why we need to taste the word of Yahuwah as Yahushua did. I'm coming here, my food is to do the desire and the will of my Father. That's the food that I need. It's the primarily food that I need. That's what is most important to me, is to get this food in order to receive the light of Abba. And by doing this, connected to everything that we have been studying and talking today, is the way that we are going to be special people. We are going to be able to bring that light and to serve as a lamp into this world. And, just to complete the this parable of the Vat Shepherd in this passage. There are few passages that we need to consider about the Vat Shepherds, and let's go to the book of Isaiah, Yeshayahu. And with this, we are going to finish this broadcast. It says in the chapter 56. This is like a marathon, you know. We are at 2.5 hours so far. But it has been a good marathon. I hope that you have been enjoying, and it's been a blessing to you as it is for me. So it says in the verse 11 and 12, and the dogs have a strong appetite. They never have enough, and they are shepherds. They have not known understanding. You remember what we were discussing about Shaul? Not having the understanding of Yahuwah, doing what was right in his eyes. They have not known understanding. All of them look to their own way. It's exactly what we have been talking about today. Everyone for his own gain, for his own end, saying, come, let me bring wine and fill ourselves with strong drink, and tomorrow shall be as today, even much greater. So that's the heart of a Vat Shepherd, exactly as we see Shaul doing in chapter 13 and chapter 14. Let's go to the book of Yirmiyahu, chapter 10, verse 21. And it says, for the shepherds have become brutish. You remember what Shmuel said to Shaul? You have been foolish. It's exactly the same. For the shepherds have become brutish, and they have not sought Yahuwah. It's exactly the same thing that we were studying and discussing today. Therefore, they did not understand, and all their flock scattered. You remember what happened with Israel? They scattered. They were moving out from Shaul. And the last one in the chapter 23 on the same book, Yirmiyahu, verse 1 to 4. Woe to the shepherds destroying and scattering the sheep of my pasture, declares Yahuwah. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah Elohim of Israel against the shepherds who feed my people. You have scattered my flock, driven them away, and have not tended them. See, I am punishing you for the evil of your deeds, declared Yahuwah. And this is exactly what happened to Shaul. He was punished. He lost his crown because of his disobedience. Therefore, I shall gather the remnant of my flock out of all the lands where I have driven them. I shall bring them back to their fold, and they shall bear and increase. And I shall raise up a shepherd over them, and they shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be discouraged, nor shall they be lacking, declares Yahuwah. And this is exactly, the promise of the king and the promise of the priest, the Melech and the Kohen, both of them that are going to do according to what is in the heart of Yahuwah. And that's our beautiful Yahushua HaMashiach. That's the shepherd that he has been risen up, and he is sending us back once again in order to gather his people, because differently to the parable of the Vat Shepherd, as we have been talking, we have the parable of the Good Shepherd. And it's not only a parable, it's a reality, because we have one true shepherd, and that is Yahushua HaMashiach, the King of Kings and the Adon HaAdonim. So, brothers and sisters, this is what I have for today. I
shine forth. Stir up your strength for Manasseh. Stir up your strength for Ephraim. Stir up your strength and come and save us. Restore us again. Cause your face to shine. Return to us, oh Yah, and we shall be saved. We shall be saved again. How long will you be angry and feed us bread of tears? Restore us again and cause your face to shine. Turn to us, oh Yah, and we shall be saved. We shall be saved. The vine you caused to grow, how you uprooted the nations to make a place of its own. But now the hedges are broken, cut down and burned in the fire. Look down from heaven, come and visit your vine. Restore us again, cause your face to shine.